And this wonderful industry has been part of our lives the entire time. We've been with this company, Youngevity, for almost 8 years, and it has been such a blessing in so many ways. And we now have 3 teenage kids. And when we started out, they were obviously 8 years younger. And we were really hungry for making a change and making a difference in our life. And so this business plan is something that can be something that you can use as a part-time, or it can morph and develop and evolve depending on your effort into something that replaces what you're doing full-time if you're dissatisfied with where you're at in life. And that's where we found us. I was a former teacher and also a journalist and writer, and neither of those things were really, you wouldn't say that I had any extra income. So it was just barely scraping by to help the family a little bit while the children were little. And Scott was working hard at different entrepreneurial endeavors, and we just didn't get enough time together. And so that's why when this business came around, and also Scott had a huge health crisis at the time and was puzzling the doctors, we were introduced to our mentor, Tom Chenault, who lives here in Colorado as well. And he introduced us to the amazing nutritional product line that we'll be showing you today. And from there, we found that it only made sense to develop it into a full-time business. So you can, Marianne, you can show us the first slide there, please. When you're looking at a business, either a side business or something that you want to be more than that, there's a lot of options out there. Some people are going out and, you know, signing up to drive cars for people for various companies, and they just drive and drive and drive. And that's one way you can make extra money. However, people that I know who've done things like that find that they just are trading hours for dollars. So if they're not in the car driving, they're not making anything. So their income is really capped. There's only so many hours that you can drive. You have to sleep, you have to eat. And so that didn't really appeal to us. But however, the fact is that people are looking for side income. And some people call it plan B, some people call it side hustle, some people call it a gig that you're doing on the side. So whatever you call it, 37% of Americans already have this going on right now. So for example, our kids go to a private school and we love it there, but we know the teachers are not paid enough to really sustain their lifestyle here in Northern Colorado. It's pretty expensive cost of living. So a lot of those teachers have to go and get side jobs in restaurants in the evenings and work for tips. They work all summer. And so the American dream of having a job and staying there until you're 40, really, you need to supplement that with something else if you're going to have any free time and free money to be able to do vacations and, you know, buy healthy foods and things like that. So the plan B could be this company for you, but how will you evaluate that? How will you know if this is a good plan B for you? So we're going to go over today how you can decide based on the company, the products that they market. They have to be good. That was where we were at with Scott's health. If he hadn't had a health turnaround, then I can tell you we would not be marketing this company, because that would be out of integrity. So only if it worked and we loved the products and what they did were we interested. So the products have to be top notch, which they are. We'll show you how and why. The pay plan had to be worth our time. So we've been in other companies, maybe you have too, in this industry, the network marketing industry. And you may have felt like if you put a lot of effort in, that you didn't get compensated for what you thought your time should have. And so the pay plan had to be very lucrative. That was really important to me. Even as an English major, I understand that math is everything. We have to be able to have more money at the end of our month than more month at the end of our money, because that's depressing. And we don't believe in living on credit. So this is a great way to live debt-free, and we'll show you how that works. And we'll give you training and support all along the way. So if you should decide that this is a great business for you, it would be in business for yourself. So you'd be your own boss, which is beautiful. You don't have someone telling you when you can take vacation and when you can go to the bathroom and when you can have a lunch break and all those things. You'd be your own boss, which is beautiful. However, you wouldn't be in business by yourself. So we would be supporting you and helping you and teaching you and guiding you all along the way. And also what's important to know is what is the timing that you're getting into the industry that you're in. So if you were trying to get into the .com industry and you tried to jump in today, you're not going to have the smashing success that the people had in Silicon Valley back when it first was booming. So the timing is really important, and being able to leverage your time so that you aren't the only person responsible for your income. That is so key. As a teacher, as most jobs and most careers, you get paid either a salary or an hourly wage for the work that you do, period. And with this system, you would introduce and be able to develop a team that would be able to keep paying you whether or not you worked directly with that person or not. So Scott and I have people all over the world in 17 countries so that they're working while we're sleeping and vice versa. So it's a beautiful pairing. Okay, next slide, please. All right, Youngevity Corporate. This is our corporate office. This is in near San Diego, just outside of San Diego in Chula Vista, California. You can see the building there, taken aerial view that takes up a couple of blocks. It was about half the size when we started with this company, and they've had to keep expanding and hiring and developing new parts of their building and adding onto it so that they can accommodate the massive growth that we're having. And we've been in business for 21 years. So I like that because you may not have heard the name of Youngevity, which I think is a good thing. It's not a household name. And so because of that, we have opportunity. And yet we also have the stability of being a 21-year-old company. So that means that they have always been debt-free. They've always been working hard to make sure that everyone receives their commissions on time. They're never late, which is something to be very proud of. And you can see that integrity, vision, and freedom are really core values that are important for the company. And our global footprint, so on that map there on your screen, you can see all the different countries that we have a corporate office. So a smaller version of the office that you see in the picture exists in all of those different countries. And then we also ship to other countries that aren't even shown there. This is just where we have staff and inventory and workers in those countries. So all the research and development, the marketing, the commissions department, the inventory, everything is done here in our corporate offices. And it's a really wonderful place to go visit if you have a chance to go to San Diego and visit it. Corporate leadership is really important to us. Who is behind the company? Who is running it? Can you trust them? And the answer is absolutely yes. We can trust Steve and Michelle Wallach. They're our CEO and COO. So this is a family business, which I love. They're very invested and have been since day one in the company and want to see it thrive. And then Dave and Sunshine, we call her Sunshine. Her name is Lisa Sunshine Brisky. They are the president and the director, Sunshine is, of the Be the Change Foundation. So when Dave Brisky started with the company, he made it possible that our company would be going public. And then recently, just last January, we had the privilege of going to the downtown Times Square in New York City and opening up the stock exchange for the NASDAQ. So now we're big time. We're on the NASDAQ, which means we are publicly traded. Anyone can buy our stock. There's our symbol there. And this is the day that we opened up on the stock exchange. So it was a really monumental day. My husband and I are on the left side in the gray, and he's got his fist raised up in the air. And in the middle there, you see our founder, and you see some of our celebrity ambassadors, and you see our corporate staff and a lot of our top leadership in the picture on that front row. And what they're doing is they're putting their hand on a button, and that button, right at the right moment, we were told, press the button, and it opened up the stock exchange on January 2. So that was a huge privilege and an honor that we got to do that, and it represented years of work. And it means that all of our public records are open book. So that is a big difference. When you're privately held, then people can't check up on what you say. But all the things that we're saying today can be found out because it's all public knowledge now. And on the right side, you see the big building there. That's a 7-story building. It's a pixelated graphic picture that changed every few minutes. And a lot of us, including my husband and I, it was quite surreal. We had a giant picture of us on the 7-story building of our faces from moments before in that tower that you see behind there where we were opening up the stock exchange. So we got to be part of that and witness that. And it was an amazing day and represented so much for the company. Dr. Joel Wallach, he was the one in the very middle of the picture. He's the reason that we're here. He is a living legend. He's almost 80 years old. He does webinars every day, twice a day, teaching people for free all about how to be healthy and what they're missing in their life. And it comes from 40 plus years of his research that he noticed when he was a young child working on his family farm, that the animals were well. And why were they so worried about making the animals well? It's because they represented the financial stability for the farm. So it paid for them to keep the animals well with giving them nutrition that they needed specific for them. So he realized that we treated our animals better than we treated ourselves in terms of nutrition. So he realized then that he needed to become a naturopath. He wanted to see if he could help people in the way that he saw that he was helping animals through his vet practice. And I mentioned that he does 300 lectures per year. It's actually more than that. And they're fascinating and teach so much about the body and why we get sick and what we can do about it. So he's very progressive. Though he's almost 80, he's been teaching a very progressive kind of an anti-traditional medical model, allopathic. It's against that, and it's pro-natural. And what his main thesis is, and a theme in life, is that we're missing the minerals and the nutrients and the amino acids that we need to be able to reverse and prevent disease. And he can say that in animals. However, you can't say that technically in people. However, we can read between the lines that we are in the animal kingdom. So what's good for the animals is good for the people. So he worked with Marlon Perkins. And if you're old enough and older than 27 like me, then you'll know that back in the 70s and 80s, there was a show called Mutual of Omaha's Wild Kingdom. And I used to watch that show. So did my husband, Scott. And we watched that every time it was on. And it was the first nature show where you could see big animals like rhinos and giraffes and elephants in Africa. And Marlon Perkins was the face of that show. He had a little monkey on his shoulder that is kind of his trademark. And Dr. Wallach was in the background. You didn't see him directly as much, but he was there darting the rhinos and testing them and finding out what was making certain species get sick. And he found out that there are 900 diseases that all can be prevented by nutrition. He also has 2 radio shows he does in addition to the webinars that are twice a week. And he has the Audacity of Health documentary that just came out. And it is a hour-long show that you can download, and you can ask the person who showed you this video and you can watch it. It's very interesting. So Dr. Wallach connected these diseases to deficiencies that we have in our body. So we can correct these with taking in the proper nutrients in a form that we can absorb. That's really, really key. And so this pack here shows this is the flagship product. We actually have many, many more types of products in different categories. However, this is the flagship 3 products that were introduced when the company started that have been revised and upgraded. And this is the 2.0 version. And they come in 3 different solubilities. So you can take pills, you can take powders, you can take liquid, whatever you prefer. But it's just really important to give your body these 90 nutrients. There's 60 minerals, you can read there, 16 vitamins, 12 amino acids, 2 fatty acids. Now, a lot of people think that, oh, I take vitamins. I buy them at the grocery store or the health food store. Well, they're not all the same. Absolutely not all the same. Some of them don't even break down in our bodies because they're made out of rocks, and ours are plant derived, which is a huge difference. If you give your body what it needs, it can do amazing things. That's what Dr. Wallach says. This is a little bit more detail. You can read about what's in the pack. And we take these every day. Our kids take them, we take them, our parents take them. They're crucial, and without them, we don't feel the same. We don't feel like things are right in our body. And we've been on them for 8 years, and we really can tell a difference in so many ways. Many testimonies of what these things can do for people. And Dr. Wallach's written over 13 or 14 books together with his wife, Dr. Ma Lan, and she is a medical doctor, and also she's a Chinese herbalist. So between them, and she's a micro hand surgeon educated at Harvard Medical School. So between them, they have a medical MD, herbalist, naturopath, veterinarian, and they understand all about essential oils. And also Dr. Wallach has his master's in soil science, which he got at the University of Missouri. So he understands that if the nutrients are not in the ground, then they can't be in the food that we're eating, and therefore they're not in us. So some purists will say, well, I just get everything I need from my food. I don't take anything extra. Well, you're definitely going to be at risk for deficiency diseases, Dr. Wallach shows, because the nutrients that the farmers put in the food, even if you eat organic, that just means it doesn't have pesticide. It doesn't mean that it has the nutrients that it should have. So an apple today is nothing like an apple many years ago because of over farming and the fact that we don't put the nutrients in. They only put in the nutrients that need to make the crop grow. I think Dr. Wallach says there's 3 that they put in, and that's it. And we need 90. So have you ever seen a cereal box or given it to your kids, or you remember when you were young and it would say 8 essential vitamins, or you'd find another one that said 16 vitamins and you think that's good? Well, you need 90 every single day, not 8 or 16. So there's many different ways to become involved in our company, and this shows some of the ways here that Scott will elaborate on. And we call it either CEO or we call it the family pack, because there's enough in here to get your whole family on a nutrition plan. And my husband Scott and I absolutely believe in taking nutrients to reverse and prevent issues in our lives. And we want you to know more about how you can make a business out of this opportunity. And so Scott has so much experience. He was introduced to this industry when he was just a teenager, and he'll probably tell a little bit about that story. And we work together as a team now from home. I don't have to be a teacher anymore, although I teach people, but I teach them about health and wealth now. So it's a wonderful stage of life that we're in, and we would love to share the next step with you. Scott and I are Emerald Ambassadors with the company, which is one of the top spots in the company. And we just exist to help people understand how they can get freedom and have peace and joy and happiness in their life through turning this product line into a business opportunity. So Scott, are you there?
Hey, I'm right here, Juliette. Thank you so much. That was fascinating and riveting. I always love hearing you share your heart and your experience and wisdom with everybody. And yeah, listen, these CEO packs are so incredibly powerful. I'll tell you why. The hottest topics right now in the world of health, nutrition is things like detoxing your liver, general immune support. You've heard all the big hype and energy and all the excitement around the hemp world and the CBD industry. We've got that as well, which has so many health benefits to it. Weight loss is another big deal. So many people are looking like, what's the greatest thing I can be doing right now to lose pounds, to lose inches, feel really good about myself holistically from the standpoint of being in shape, right? Well, the one common denominator that each of these CEO packs or these family packs has is the 90 essential nutrients, just like Juliette talked about. They're so important for you. I didn't know what I didn't know. Juliette said I talked about. I know I still look like a teenager. I did get started when I was about 17 years old. So that was a couple years ago. I know I don't age that fast. And ironically, it's been 31 years since I was 17 years old. And so that's how long I've been in the industry, which is really cool. And I think back to statements that I've heard for many years, and maybe you've heard this statement as well. Have you ever heard the one that says, you know, the rich just keep getting richer? You ever heard that one before? I've heard that. One day I just kind of scratched my head and I'm going, how is that possible? Well, first of all, you have to know how, or you have to have been born into being wealthy to be able to pass the gift and carry on the legacy of having the wealth that was bequeathed to you, or the wealth that you generated become even more so. So how is that possible? And as much as I've looked and researched and read and interviewed and talked to people, I found out there's two ways to do it. You can either be willed into it, like inherit it, or you can draw a line in the sand and say, you know what, I wasn't born on that side of the tracks, so I didn't have that in my bloodline. So rather than being a victim of saying, well, I guess that won't work for me, no, it's a mindset. You get to choose and decide. And we kind of did that. We drew that line in the sand and said, from this day forward, we're going to change our lineage, we're going to change our bloodline. And we did that through this most powerful career of network marketing. So let's go to the next slide, please. I'm going to show you how to take this incredible news, all the news that Juliette and Nikki just shared with you. I'm going to show you how to really monetize this. We call this the pay plan, but in order to really grasp how this works, let's start right here. This is how most people are programmed. Typically through home and typically through school, we somehow come to this conclusion that we've got to work 40 years of our lives. So let's just call it the 40-40-40 plan. Here's how it works. You work 40 hours a week for 40 years of your life to retire on 40% of your working income. Let me repeat that. 40 years of your life. So let's say you start working around 25 years old, you work till you're about 65. So there's your 40-year plan. And 40 hours a week, there's the other 40. And then when you retire finally and you step back from it all, you're going, how am I supposed to live from 65 to 105? That's another 40 years. And you're going, I'm not going to live that long. Really? You never know. Juliette's grandmother is 104, still alive and kicking. Who would have thunk it? But I mean, that's a long time. So she's pulling that off another 40 years. How does she survive without going, wow, I've got such a finite amount of money here. How will I pull that off? Well, when you understand that other than the 40-40-40 plan, there's the way the wealthy think. Let me give you an example. You do something once and you get paid on it eternally or for everlasting more into the future. That's how the wealthy get wealthier. So as you can see by this graph right here, it's pretty telling, these statistics. That little sliver of blue, that's the 1% wealthy. Your chances of being in that sliver are pretty slim unless you consider things like network marketing. There's an example of something that can be done to put you into that category. That little purple sliver, 4% are financially stable. They're paying all their bills. They're doing okay, but they might be nervous after retirement. They may not have residual income working for them. Look what happens though down around the corner. You understand that most people don't live to see the age of 65. And by the time we reach 65, the masses are completely broke. We don't want anyone to be in that category. Let's go to the next slide. So I'm going to show you that inside of Youngevity, there's actually multiple streams of income, and this is so real. Now, everyone's got definitions of multiple streams. Let me explain our multiple streams of income. We have the kind of income inside of Youngevity. That's the fast start and the quick start, where you can get paid quickly up front. So if you're in a situation you're going, geez, God, I hope you get to that point where you understand that I'm banging my head against the wall. I'm attempting how to, make up for some struggles in the past. How do I really get ahead? I get you. I got you covered. You need to make some quick cash. That's what the fast start and quick start bonuses do. I'll show you a little bit more about that on some next upcoming slides. Then there's the residual. That's what we do today, where you can be paid into the wild blue yonder. I referred to that earlier. Then there's something called coding. Now, that's a really, really exciting bonus or commission or compensation plan inside this system right here. I'm going to unpack that for you as well. And it's based off of the fact that people want to get their act together. Those are the people that become CEOs. There's a bonus attached to that. Then, of course, there's the car bonus. Let me tell you why that's so important. I don't know if you can relate to this. Prior to Youngevity, 8 years ago, 7 years ago, we had a house foreclosed on, we had a car repossessed. We were in some pretty tough times, just to be very candid with you. And I'd rather be candid and really vulnerable than anything else. That's my style. I hope it's okay with you. And I remember we had that car repossessed, and it's like, talk about a wake-up call, just that day where it just hits you really hard in the chest. You're going, what now? I was so elated when I found out that Youngevity had a car program where we could actually, in as quickly as we wanted to. It turned out it was about 45 days for us, from what are we gonna do now to 45 days later. Wow, this really works. And see that picture on the left? That's not a stock photo. There aren't any stock photos in here. We haven't shown you really any stock photos at all. That's my good friend Denise Chanel. Denise is one of those ambassadors inside the Youngevity, great example. That's a car that she fell in love with. She loved it. It's a Tesla. It's their top of the line Tesla. They're not cheap, but guess what? Youngevity has a car bonus that makes sometimes the unthinkable really possible. There's a leadership bonus. That's for doing the right thing, setting the right kind of example. And then that global profit sharing. Oh my word. That's where you set enough of an example for people to follow. You show people that this is doable. And at some point, your business gets to a place to where a percentage of all the global profits, that's right, all the revenue we produce around the world, they take a percentage, they put that into a pool, if you will, and they share that with the people that are in there. It's really cool. Let's go to the next slide. All right, so as you look at this, understand this. We don't want you to be average or just okay. You ever seen the commercial where there's this patient laying in a bed and the surgical nurse comes in and says, okay, sir, you all ready to go? You're about ready to wheel you back into the surgery center. And the guy's nervous and he looks up at the surgery nurse and says, so how is Dr. So-and-so? And the nurse takes their eyes away from the chart and they go, yeah, they're okay. And the patient looks up and says, what, just okay? And freeze frame that. Think about that. Do you want a surgeon that's just okay if you're ready to go in and go under the anesthesia? And so it's the same thing here at Youngevity. We don't want you to think, oh, this is just okay. Like it says, we want you to thrive. This is great. Thanks for joining us. You're already on board. Welcome aboard. So let me show you what happens. There are basically, 3 different categories of people that look at Youngevity. The majority of people look at us as a holistic, wheel of success, if you will. It's capable of solving social issues, physical issues, emotional issues. It's capable of impacting financial topics, etc. That's kind of the holistic picture that I'm talking about. When most people look at Youngevity, they're going, wow, you know what? I could stand to have I could friend up. I could stand to either be proactive or handle my reactiveness to physical stresses and pressures a whole lot better. You can see we can help you with that. And from the financial standpoint, oh my word, could you imagine being in the category that Juliette talked about, where this is your plan A? What if you did control all your time? What if you did have peace every day? What if you didn't have to wake up to an alarm clock? What if you did have a plan to pay cash for all your kids going through college? Or those kids that are getting married, those aren't cheap either. What if you had a plan in place to do all that and you could go through the day breathing easy, controlling your schedule, kind of doing things on your terms? That's what we mean by thriving. Let's say 5 people decide to partner, lock arms with you and say, hey, I'm in. This makes more sense strategically or from a planning standpoint than a lot of things I've heard or seen around the block. For $500, the $499, the CEO pack, are you kidding me? I'm in. That's it. That's it. So that's what those 5 people are doing there. You know what that $100 is? That's your fast start and your quick start bonuses. So just like that, 5 people say yes, and boom, this example shows $500 going right into your pocket. The little black box is showing 35. That's your coding bonus, which is a really big deal. So that means every time, starting with person number 4 and forevermore and down through the depth of those people's organizations, you're going to receive some form of code. Let's go to the next slide. Goes from about 15 bucks all the way up to 190. So here's what's really cool. See those numbers popping up down the slide of that scale right there? These are all the positions in the compensation plan. So if you went and sat down for a job interview, you'd have a similar conversation. You'd say, how am I going to get paid for what I'm doing right here? When I stock those shelves or I work on the books and do the accounting and make everything okay, when I run those errands, how am I being compensated? Well, this is what we're talking about right now. This is how you're being compensated. So remember, the majority of people that look at Youngevity, they're going, wow, what an incredible solution. I can put myself on the fast track for that CEO pack of $499. That's right. And then, like I said, from the time you introduce the 4th person and beyond, you're in this coding bonus. Look at this. Each one of these positions, sales associate, senior associate, all the way through 5-star. Let me draw your attention to the ones intentionally listed in yellow. So those kind of pop out at you a little bit. As a 1-star executive, that can take you a couple weeks, a month, couple months, maybe 3 months to become a 1-star executive. Obviously, we have a strategy to help you do that shorter versus than longer. As a one-star executive, you're earning a fast start and a quick start bonus of about $100. Remember that? The coding bonus, though, adds another $100. That's how you get to $200. And then look down at five-star executive. At five-star executive, you still got the same fast start and quick start bonus of 100. Add the 190 to it on the coding bonus. That's $290 put straight into your pocket. How many people do you think over time, 10, 50, 100, 1,000? Could you imagine your business growing to those numbers? If you're thinking, wow, that sounds like a lot, I don't know if I could do that. After 4 years, our 4-year career inside of Youngevity, Juliette and I had about 150,000 people associated to our team that stemmed from a couple of handfuls that we introduced to Youngevity that churned and stemmed into all that. Why would they do that? Well, I'll tell you what, it's because we offer solutions. You know, the kind of solutions that aren't offered every day on a street corner, like hope, like reality, like possibilities, like dreaming. That's what we're talking about. Most people don't get the privilege of experiencing those 4 examples I just gave you that we offer through Youngevity. So yeah, we're a little more attractive than most things that are out there. And that's why our business could grow from the people that we introduced to all those people all over the world, now in 17 countries. And quite frankly, we have many more people than 150,000 at this point. That was just after 4 years. So if you're wondering, wow, is it really possible for me to have 10 or 50 or 100 or even 1,000 people in my organization? And that's right, you're earning a percentage of all of their efforts. And J. Paul Getty said it best, it's better to earn a little bit off of a lot than a lot off of a little bit. Let's go to the next slide. So let me give you an example. Remember I just told you how we introduced a few, that introduced a few, that introduced a few. I'm not gonna go through some crazy elaborate example. Let me just show you 3 touch points of people. See where it says level 1 on your screen? I think you might be able to see my mouse. If you can see it, I'm circling level 1 on the left-hand side. Let's just say that we introduced, you gave hope and possibilities to 5 people. Those 5 people said, hey, this makes a lot of sense. I think I'll get that family pack, that CEO pack. So they do. And so over right here, once this is done, I'm gonna use an example with you, and I hope this makes sense. Usually when you go to the grocery store, especially if you go to Costco or Walmart, you know how much money you can spend inside those stores. Now I want you to shift your consciousness, the way you look at purchasing products when you go to the store. We have toothpaste, we have all the hair care products. By the way, I love hair care products. They work amazing. Every day when I wake up, I think about how can I make my hair more creative today than it was yesterday? So I know that's a joke, but I'm also being serious. We have a little bit of everything. We have a little bit of everything. Lip balm, I use it every day. Whatever is the thing that you use every day, think about ordering it from yourself and through your own business at Youngevity. So I'm gonna use a $150 example just to use an easy round number we can all think about. So these 5 people right here, let's say they're doing that every month. The 8% that it shows you, this is a residual portion only of your commission plan. That's 60 bucks. So 5 people times 150, at 8%, it's about 60 bucks. Okay, what happens when those 5 people do the exact same thing? They influence, they inspire, they introduce shopping and shifting your consciousness into Youngevity instead of all the other places you can go. Well, the math works about the same. Now you have 30 people in your organization, the 5 plus the 25. Those 25 are putting about another 300 bucks in your pocket. If those 25 people, just one more time, and we'll stop right there, do the exact same thing, that's another $1,300 in your pocket. I'll tell you what, you're approaching $1,500 to $2,000 a month in residual income. It's not including the car bonus. It's not including all the other bonuses we've already discussed. This is just the residual bonus on people's habitual consumption. Now, why would people do that again? Because if all things were equal, wouldn't it make sense to buy from the place that pays you to shop instead of the place that only takes your money? I've looked at that as a logical answer. Maybe you do too, but that's the point I'd like to make. So in the next 90 days, could you imagine putting a plan like this into place? What could you do with another $2,000 a month? Just as an example, as I'm pointing out here, with a car bonus, it would be about 2,000 bucks a month. So big deal? I think so. Next slide. So what I love more than anything else is that we lead by example. We never talk about things that we aren't doing ourselves. I don't talk about things that I'm not first doing myself. And I got some great advice one time. It looked a little bit like this. Never take advice from someone unless they have something to lose by your failure. So in other words, that person has no desire to see me fail whatsoever. The inverse is always true. If there's an upside for them to succeed, wouldn't it make sense to take that person's advice if they have a vested interest in your success? That's the point we're making here on this particular slide. We have a very, very simple system. We have amazing thought leaders. We have amazing examples, people that have paved the path and gone before us and have done everything as perfectly as possible inside of Youngevity as you can. Doesn't mean they're perfect people, and it doesn't mean they haven't made mistakes. Oh, believe me, they have. I have. I've made so many mistakes. I'd like to think that's what makes my advice a little bit more valuable, because I can teach people how to avoid pitfalls or how to avoid being hurt in the same way that I might have been hurt. If that makes sense, I hope so. So guess what? We're going to teach you step by step, everything, A through Z, not A through M, and then leaving you to figure out N through Z. We teach you A through Z. Now you don't have any questions. Now you know that you know the source on where to get all the answers to all of your questions, because we have a vested interest in your success, and we provide all that through our simple system. Next slide. Here's some wonderful examples of the people I was just alluding to. These people right here, not only are they friends, they're people I really admire. They're people I have huge levels of respect for. Now, why would I respect these people? I respect a lot of people, but I put these people right here in a very unique category. Why? Because they never quit. They never gave up. They had a dream. They made a decision. They stuck to their decision. They lived by their dream, and they followed that same yellow brick road, that success path, using the same exact simple system that I've been sharing with you. And they made it. So when you're going, well, I wonder if this has worked for anybody. Yeah, it's worked for many, many, many people. Why these people? Because these people are the ultimate example that I can think of. Person on the left, Tom and Denise, amazing couple. They are, could you go back a slide, please? That couple right there, you'd think these people had like crazy, amazing stories, and they do in a unique way. So Tom and Denise, he's a recovered alcoholic, Tom is, and Denise used to, sell hair care products for a living. Dr. Corey Gold and his amazing wife, Adrian, he's a retired dentist. You've got Cheryl Morley in the middle, and Cheryl Morley, what an amazing lady she is. She's done a lot of great things. She was the assistant manager at a Taco Bell prior to Youngevity. You've obviously met Juliette and I. And on the far right, great people as well, great friends of ours, great leaders. Dr. Lewis and his wife, Avelia. They used to be successful entrepreneurs owning multiple chiropractic centers and clinics. And they decided, you know what? All these people made a decision. They made one universal decision. We can help a lot more people and inspire people and give ourselves a hand up or a leg up at doing life at the same time we're inspiring others to live their life to the fullest. That's what I respect about these people. Next slide. So check this out. On the far left, when we say now is your time, I want you to notice this chart on the left. $700 billion is what the industry currently is for health and wellness. That's a pretty big industry. You know what? It's taken the entire course of time, however long that is, however long they've been measuring the health and wellness statistics. So some number of great years prior, all the way till now, finally, in 2019, we're estimated to do somewhere around $800 billion. In 3 years, we're talking about $1 trillion industry. So we go from 700 billion to $1 trillion in just 3 to 4 years, but look how long it took us to get to 700 billion. It means there's an uptick, there's a swing, and there's a path we're headed down. It's crazy. Now watch this. Let's compare that. If you're going, how big is this network marketing industry? Is this just some little hobby fad thing that just happens in a back room somewhere or someone's living room? Well, why don't you help me make that decision? So we're talking about this industry of network marketing has created more millionaires than any other industry. And in many cases, multiples of them combined. Check it, look at the NFL. The NFL is 9.5 billion a year. Look at a bigger one. How about Hollywood, the movie industry, 80 billion a year. Look at the organic products industry, 91 billion. Double the biggest ones, and that's about how many billions the network marketing industry does on an annual basis. That's right. If you took NFL, the music industry, and you took video gaming and combined those all together, you're way short of what the network marketing industry does. I just show that to you because I want you to see how powerful it is and that it is enormous and that it's a freight train. And if you get in the way of it, you won't stop it. You can only move in the direction that that freight train is going because it's got momentum, just like the network marketing industry. Next slide, please. So as we wrap this up, again, remember that image of the patient in the hospital bed? Okay or good is not good enough. You want the best. If you got on an airline, you wouldn't say, hey, how great are these pilots? Yeah, they're okay. You'd go, okay, I'm not getting on that airplane. The same thing goes for everything you do in life. You don't want an okay spouse. You don't want okay friends. You don't want okay kids. You don't want okay schools. You don't want okay airline pilots, and you don't want okay network marketing company. Youngevity is the creme de la creme de la creme. And so here's what the deal is. We get to decide that no matter what we've done up to this point, that we can change the course of history from this moment forward. I love that statement on the left. It's so amazing. If you didn't plant a tree in the past, oh well, it would have been a good idea, but today is the next best time to do that. And if you haven't taken network marketing or Youngevity seriously in the past, the next best time to do that is right now. So how do you do that? Like, you want to get off on the right foot. You don't want to, you know, when the gun goes off and you're on the starting line, you're not sitting there thinking, now, is it the right foot forward first or is it the left foot forward first? You're not pondering that on the starting line. You've decided in advance. So that's number one, decide. Number two is when the gun goes off and you jump forward, get your CEO pack. In other words, start correctly. I have a lot of friends that do landscaping for a business and I hire them. They come take care of our property. They take care of our house. They make our lawn and our gardens look beautiful because they're better at it than I am. And it's better for them to do it than for me to do it. But could you imagine if they came over and said, Scott, we're here to take care of you, but we don't have any tools. You got anything in the garage? I'm like, wait a second. You weren't prepared for this? It's the same thing with Youngevity. You want to be prepared. Make sure that you've got all the tools in your bag. That's the CEO pack. We want you to use those products and have an amazing success story to tell in just a few days. Then we want you to start living the life that you've always dreamed of having and knowing that it can happen and that it will happen for you in a higher likelihood than a lot of other things that are out there because we've got that perfect Autobahn cemented and paid for you with the lines right down the middle so that you don't have the likelihood of getting off course. Next slide, please. So again, all those people that you saw dressed up and looking sharp, here they are. They're enjoying life. They're showing you that life is meant to have fun. So whether they're hanging out with family or they're traveling around the world or they're visiting Paris or they're, making memories with grandkids, it makes no difference. What would you do like these people have done when you own your time? Bottom line is, we are thrilled that you came and joined us today on this webinar. We're thrilled that someone invited you here today. We're thrilled that you accepted the calling to jump on here and say, I wonder really what Youngevity is all about. What is their story? What are these people up to? How do they do it? And I know right now you've got 3 questions. You're wondering, is this thing legitimate? I would hope you'd think the answer is unequivocally yes. Juliette showed you earlier. NASDAQ, are you kidding me? Been around for 22 years. This was not yesterday's idea. Are we growing? A lot more so with your help, obviously, but we're in 17 countries now, and we've done pretty well through these 22 years. Be a great idea for you to take this seriously. So are we legitimate? No question. Number 2, can you do this? Like, can you do what we're talking to you about? Absolutely. We're going to help you. And that's number 3. Will you help me? We're going to help you. You can do this and we will help you. There's nothing tricky here. There's nothing, I'll tell you what's complicated. 100 degrees, going out and digging post holes and getting blisters on your hands. That's hard. That's complicated. It's exasperating work. This is not going to put blisters on your hands, and you're not going to get a heat stroke because of going outside and digging those holes. Will this be hard? Yes. It's an entirely different kind of hard, and it's the kind of hard that you only drum up in your head. It's as simple as you make it or as hard as you imagine it to be. Either are true. You just get to decide which one it is for you. So right now, here's what I advise you to do. Whoever sent you here, whoever you're sitting next to right now, I'd just turn to them and faster than they can ask you, because they might ask you something like this. Wasn't this amazing? Didn't this make sense? Why don't you just turn to them or call them back quickly and just say, wow, That was unbelievable. That was exciting. It made a lot of sense. And if you've got questions, let us answer those questions for you. We can do it really well. I give you that on my word. Have a great day, everybody. Thank you for tuning in. We love you. God bless.